What's going on YouTube? The Last Musketeer here with video 3 of part 5 of Arknights free to play. Is it worth it? So in the last video at the ending I did say I might wait a little bit to post this just because my voice was starting to get a little scratchy, but I am no quitter. So you know what, we're gonna go ahead and finish, and starting off we're on 5.4 and we're doing a practice run just so I can get a feel of what this map is going to look like. Now, I had seen before when looking at the map, first off, that it was going to have some type of drone problems, and so, you know, I deploy Firewatch, let her do some stuff. Cruz is also over here putting in a little bit of work. One already passed by, but I'm not going to stop there, obviously. I'm going to see as much of the map as I can before I quit, but unfortunately that one gets through. So now it's back to the drawing board. So the first thing I think about, I did get rushed down quite a bit with the aerial unit, so the obvious first choice is to throw in blue poison in place of Myrtle, because I don't use Myrtle for this map, and blue poison with the extra aerial burst is going to help quite a bit. So between Cruz and blue poison, they should handle most of it pretty heavily. Now, Firewatch was an option I could have left in, but I decided that it was probably best to swap her out for another healer in case I need it. So I've got some good blockers. I've got Courier for the extra deployment and the 2 block, and Cantabile is very fast with her damage, so she can take out quite a few enemies while also giving me a little bit extra deployment points. So the main goal right now is to stop the leaking on the right side, because one did leak on the first practice round. The aerial units for the most part should be fine, should be easily taken care of, but I have to make sure that both blue poison and Cruz survive this. So the main goal is to put a healer down. Hibiscus is the first best option. Shining is taking care of the left side, and Perfumer taking care of the 2 blockers on the right side. Now, they do get through because I was a tad late on swapping out Cantabile for Gummy. So I do get 2 through there, and also one of the nuker drones got through as well. So I have to adjust where I'm going. So I ran another practice round, swapped some places, and it ended up working. So that was basically not that hard of a map. I had to run it 2 or 3 times in practice just to make sure that I guarantee. So what the main swap up I did is, instead of facing the other 2 gates, I had Cruz and blue poison face the opposite direction of where they were. So they moved over 1 spot and are facing the opposite direction. Now, the main reason for this is because the nuker bots tend to be a little harder to get rid of compared to the regular drones that I see flying through. Now, they are going to take some damage because their back is to the wall, and I do throw Platinum in for some extra guaranteed damage. So I could have had Firewatch there, but Firewatch is a little slow with the attack, plus Platinum has a really strong range once her S2 goes on the infinite duration. So Gabriel in place of Gummy on the left side, because I know she can take out basically anyone that is thrown at her with all that burst damage. I had to replace Cruz with Click at one point because she was taking too much damage, and Click was able to finish them off. So we get it done. I hit level 42, so we've got some more energy to spend, so we're going to get right into the next one. So here we're at 5-5, and now this one is very strange. It's got a bit of a goofy placement, but I can see that there's rails on the top 2 blue gates, so my mind is telling me no one's going to walk through those. I have to worry about aerial units, so I think the best option then would probably be placing at the top left and the top right for my aerial defense. Now, as a trial run, you never know what's going to happen. The main problem I realized right away, though, is that they're going to flood from the middle to these other lanes, and I'm not going to be able to block them off quite enough without putting a lot of heavy defense on the bottom side. I had also noticed that while Courier was down there, he got hit with a nuke from the drone empty location. So that means that if I put them on bottom side, more than likely there's going to be a few of those nuke bots coming out and slapping whatever defense I have down there. So it's going to be a bit of a staggered defense if I do that. Though I do have the option, however, of using baiter heroes or placing my defense in the middle So at first I tried Cantabile up there. I have Courier at the bottom to tank that nuke straight off because I knew he'd survive it, though he's not going to make it much further than that. So I get a few extra points, get rid of him, take Cantabile out as well as she's getting low, just to make sure that I get her out of there and get the extra points back while also getting as much of the DP out of her as I possibly can. Now, Gavial and Gummy are going to play a very crucial defense on this middle part here, because between Gavial's damage and Gummy's capability of survival, I can put some extra units down early on to help with some damage. So I put down Cruz, I put down Perfumer to get a little bit more survivability. Click is also going to go down here, just because I had 2 Lumberjacks come out, and they really weren't that hard. Now, I call a lot of people Lumberjacks, I do apologize. That's usually not their name, I just like to say that in general for the big guys. But Cruz does get nuked from the bottom right corner, so that's another thing I have to pay attention to going forward. Doing that placement for Cruz is not a good idea unless I use somebody to bait the rocket. So Click also goes down, Cruz gets put back in the left spot where Click was taken out at, and another nuker had came out, so I knew she was a goner. But there's only one left, so even though it wasn't the best play, it ended up working. So now it's just a matter of replicating what I just did. So sometimes, as many people probably know, you go into a practice run, you have it down, and then you make a misplay here or there, and you have to do it again. And so it can be a waste of sanity at times if you forget what you're doing. This time, I didn't have anybody else to place up there, so luckily I spared the viewer's eyes from having to watch that travesty again of someone getting nuked, but at least I was able to complete it the next run through. I did change up how I was doing a little bit, because I would swap out Cantabile with Courier at times, just for the... With having Cantabile in reserve, I could guarantee that if one of them maybe survived a little more damage than it should have, I can throw her down in Courier spot so that she can do a little extra damage to guarantee that it goes down. Now, this map in itself was a bit strange as well, because I started having the drone function where I slowed down all these purple bots that are very fast and do quite a bit of damage, honestly. So very crucial that I understand the correct placement of where I need everything to be in order to get the most out of it. Now, I could keep from using a lot of healers by using Myrtle's healing ability right behind Gavial, so when she takes damage, even though she just took out both of the heavy hitters without them even reaching her, just because that ability is so good. But Myrtle would be there for the extra health. Jay is going to tank the nukes from these bots. I have Blue Poison, Firewatch, Platinum, and Cruz taking care of the aerial units while they're being slowed in the middle. Jay is specifically only there to save them from getting nuked. So there's 3 of them that come out at this point. They all move at the same time, luckily. I mean, I do have Courier to drop, and Gummy as well, in case something does go bad. So I do throw down both Courier and Gummy to tank some of the damage from the drones. And the reason being, if I don't, Blue Poison is 100% going to go down. Now, I have Jay saved for the nukes, so I make sure that he catches all 3 of them, so they are no longer an issue. I drop Fire's nukes to do a little bit of extra area damage to take them out a little faster to guarantee, and then from here we're just taking out a little extra units. Gabriel's got the bottom lane super easy. Jay is going to help clear top lane with Lapland, and that one is done. Now, I didn't show the next one because I haven't beat the next one yet. It is a bit harder. I'm lacking a little bit in the damage department for Vanguards. I'm having a hard time keeping up with all the blocks and stuff that I need. I got decently far into it and then ended up getting overrun, so I'm going to have to work around some more with that one. Now, ICEX7 has been an absolute nightmare. I probably run this map literally like 100 times at this point, trying all the different planning and other ways that I can do this, and I ended up just going for a way of freezing. This is actually one of the first times I've actually tested the freezing, because the whiskey thing I've tried multiple times using blockers like J and gravel together to keep it stalled long enough for the extra damage ability to go away. That didn't work, so I tried ice in another instance where I'd run it all the way through, wrap it around through Gavial and hit it twice back and forth there. It didn't rotate through enough, so I had to work out a way of keeping them occupied at the front lane so that I can guarantee that I don't have to have a blocker for the cars, and I can keep the whiskey ones gone. So I try a couple different ways through the middle section, and I'm keeping them frozen for a while, just not long enough, so I had to make a few adjustments and figure out where to go from there. I will tell you as well, drawing all the different maps and stuff for this without somebody said a math calculator will really help. I actually need something like that at some point, because drawing out these maps and finding the different locations that I need to be driving the cart through gets a little exhausting at times, because sometimes I have to come up with like 20 different ways. It's all over the place. I'm not using a pencil, I'm using a pen. Probably better that I use a pencil in hindsight, but either way, you know, we finally get it done. And what I did with the car is I ended up obviously swapping to the ice, as I've been doing for the majority of this stage, but also I swapped the extra skill points that you get when they pass through to attack speed, and then I kept the health one on so I can guarantee that they survive through all this, because that is the most crucial part. If you do not have a heavy healer with really good range, they're just not going to survive through all this. So it's paramount that it's constantly driving through. I put the extra minus 50% deployment cooldown as well, so that I could guarantee that these are up as much as possible. Now that does add DP, but I have two really strong vanguards for that option. We're good overall. Now, one thing I didn't think about, when I have Lapland facing a certain direction, she can't attack once the cars blow up, so they dump their spider units in front of everyone. They get destroyed, blows them up, takes out 2 or 3 of my units. Luckily, Beagle survives, so I don't have to worry about starting over from there. But with that one done, I still haven't beat the next stage yet. I haven't experimented much with it. I have a couple runs that I got really close, but it's going to take me probably a little bit more mapping out to figure out exactly what I need to do on that one to survive. So I wanted to try to show off a little demonstration of what Gabriel can do through corners, though you're not going to see it very often in this one. My initial thought was right below where Perfumer is, having Gabriel the Invincible on that spot facing down, and then having like Beagle block that first path so that everything will run through and be pulled straight off the cliff there. But if I can direct your attention to the top real quick, you'll see me activate it and pull one of them off. So that is viable from that spot, though it's not the greatest positioning. But the main problem with trying to pull them off from that bottom is that by the time they get to Beagle, they are apparently, I guess, too far out of range to be pulled off, or maybe because they're being blocked, they're not allowed to be pulled from one block to another. I'm not sure how it works, but I can pull the dogs off, so I assume it's probably something to do with that. Unfortunate in that sense, but at least they still take the damage, the massive amount of damage that she does from that spot. So with this fight wrapping up, we at least know now that I can do every chipset stage. So now I have the option to farm for the pieces that I need for the E2s. It's just going to be a matter of getting all the resources gathered up to level them up. Now, I did think about the fact that from the spot that Gabriel was on, if she's facing the opposite direction, I could potentially pull them from the direct exit of their enemy gateway in the middle. So I'll have to experiment. Like I said, I'm not sure what all the capabilities are yet, but I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of fun in the coming days. But here is a practice run of what I was trying to accomplish on 5.7. So this is the problem I'm having. Both of my main vanguards are a little low. Cantabile still needs some levels, but she was able to do enough to stop that initial first push, which gave me time to put a caster down to take out that Frostbot, because they have enhanced defense. You're basically not going to have an option to take them out if you don't have a heavy hitting caster. So I probably should have removed him already and just let them take the defense on the bot lane, because I really need to swap him to attack something else. I only have one main caster in my lineup in this one. I should put Click down for taking out the one at the top, since I have Lapland on bottom to take out the other Frostbot. So potentially I have the formula down. I did also forget to drop the slowing drone, so they just go through and wipe all of my operators here, which is a bit embarrassing to see, but it's a work in progress. Like I said, we'll figure it out as time goes on. But 5-7 is what I got on the campaign. Now the reason I didn't really focus on a lot of campaign is because I was doing the event missions, I was doing annihilations, I was doing integrated strategies, and I was doing a lot of the challenge stages as well, so there was a lot going on other than just campaign. Plus campaign is ramping up quite a bit in difficulty, so it's taking a lot more planning, which means basically I'm going to have a slower movement, slower progression, especially since, for those who don't know, this is a blind run, so I can't use any guides or walkthroughs, so I'm having to plan everything out myself, which makes it a lot harder. Yeah, I could probably fast track myself if I watched guides on each level, but I don't want to do that. For the sake of myself, the strategy, and for the rawness of the video, it's imperative that I do it myself, so bear with me as we go through. I'm going to do as much as I possibly can each week, so I can show good progression until I get to the point where, you know, I can't really progress much farther, and it's all about vanity at that point, and just trying to get whatever heroes I want up to a certain point. But the main problem is I'm trying to figure out if I want to take up Thorns to E2 before Lapland, so let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I know he's going to be very expensive to take up, and she's already just about there. So for most of the classes, I haven't really made that many changes. I need to work on Quora for my defensive tank. Firewatch I pulled and leveled up because I really like her kit. Steward is one that was a low resource for decent damage, so I ended up taking him up as well. Nothing changed for the medics, the specialists, or the supporters, other than Jay for the specialists. So I'm going to end the video here, guys. I hope to have a little more completion for next week, but anyway, I'll see you there. Peace.